Before we get started tonight, ladies and gentlemen, no episode here, Fast Break for IE Sports Radio. I want to talk to y'all about the last 8 years of the company. For the last 8 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building television shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've been continuing to be by the fans for the fans, and with your help, we're ready to take that next step. When you go to our website, IESportsRadio.com, we'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. The first one starts at just $5 a month. This donation gets you shout-outs on all 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on our segment of our flagship show, To Define the Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all of this sports. I want to shout out to our 4 Patreon members, Bay Area Rays, Marcus Los Great, Keats the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you all for making our 8th anniversary special, and here's for many more years to come. Now on to the show. On tonight's show, we'll discuss the breaking news of Kyrie Irving asking to have a trade request and then being traded to the Dallas Mavericks. We'll discuss that and what the future holds for the Nets and one particular person, Kevin Durant. Plus, we'll discuss NBA trade deadline rumors, who should be moved, who might be moved, what should happen there. Plus, Steph Curry out for several weeks. What does this mean for the immediate short-term future for the Warriors? Do they make moves in the trade deadline to get better for his return, or do they kind of just stand pat? Plus, Morant being investigated for being very, very dumb. We'll discuss that and much more here on Fast Break live on IE Sports Radio. You're direct for that, as always, sports, and you're welcome to join us. Join us as you shout tonight. Thank you for joining with us. Thank you for tuning in with us. Lots to talk about. Lots to get into. You know, it may be an NBA heavy show. And, you know, it sucks to be like that because UConn and South Carolina women's played a very great game. Even though I think South Carolina should have won by double digits. Because they're just passing up open shots. Scared to shoot the ball and all that crap. But they won the game. So that all that matters. But still, lots to discuss about tonight. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It was an interesting day. It was about to be about NFL and the Pro Bowl, but we had a hell of a lot of news going the past couple of days in the NBA. I'm loving every bit of it except some, rough stuff going on with Morant, but everything is well.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on right now. It's just everything just coming out this afternoon. Everything's coming, just hitting and hitting and hitting right now. But we saw with the big news right now, Kyrie Irving being traded to the Dallas Mavericks for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a first round, didn't say what year, and multiple second-round picks to the Brooklyn Nets. D-Lock, your analysis of the trade. We saw that Kyrie Irving discuss that he wants to be traded. After it seems like there's gonna be no contract extension for him. So once he saw that, They must have told him that he wanted out. They finally obliged. Where's your analysis of this trade for both teams?
Well, first of all, I'll say this now. I'm pretty sure it was pretty tough for the Nets to trade Kyrie Irving. I mean, understanding that they put this team together, him and Kevin Durant together, having plans of, hopefully reaching the NBA Finals. Close they got the second round, I believe, against Milwaukee without Kyrie. I know that was a big thing, but for me, Dallas is one of the teams that I just thought was just dark horse in getting Kyrie Irving. I didn't really think that Mark Cuban and that staff and that front office would pull this trigger. I actually didn't think that they would have the pieces to go grab Kyrie. Initially, I thought that all signs were pointing towards him going to LA. Now, obviously, number one, the Lakers, but also with the Clippers having, a few pieces history with Kyrie and Tyrone Lue in the NBA Finals together. I thought that was also a possibility. So I thought Los Angeles just was going to be where he was going to end up. Dallas was one of the far teams that I expected. Hell, when a player like Kyrie gets up, he has a trade request, you hear all teams are going to call. So I'm pretty sure they were hearing plenty packages. And this is the one that they went with. So for me, sending, I believe, Spencer Dinwiddie, Finney Smith, a first rounder, multiple second round picks, we're not sure which years yet, for Kyrie and Markieff Morris. Markieff Morris is probably on a 1-year deal. So he's probably either going to get bought out or he'll be done after the season with Dallas. Right now, we're seeing a lot of these, teams go with having a good backcourt. We did see in the offseason Trae Young and DeJounte Murray team up. We thought that was a great piece. It takes a little bit less pressure off of Luka to do so much.
Yeah.
Making a huge splash by getting Christian Wood was a big thing with Dallas. Remember, we talked about it prior to them having him. That's what they were missing, was a big. They needed somebody to defend the rim, somebody that can take a little bit less pressure off of Luka, and they made that move going to get Christian Wood. They had a few pieces, and it's actually showing pretty well. I mean, we've seen different rotations. I think we talked about it, remember, early in the season, before the season started. We heard Jason Kidd talking about, Christian Wood's going to come off the bench. And we were like, what the hell? Like, what does this mean? So they go grab him, and it's actually looking like a pretty decent move. Having Christian Wood out there with Dinwiddie looked like a pretty good unit to have outside of Luka. So now they go get a big upgrade from Dinwiddie to Kyrie.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I think that, like I said, I just thought that having Dinwiddie, let's not forget about Tim Hardaway, Christian Wood. Dwight Powell is very consistent, but you got your Christian Wood. Cleaver has been out; he'll come back. Dallas Buchanan is one of your 3-point shooters, so you have a few shooters there. I thought that they had pieces there that they were going to stick with. But when a player like Kyrie comes available, you have to make that call. And they sent him a package that they could not turn down. And for me, that is a major, major, major plus. We'll talk about it later with Steph Curry being out. But going to get a Kyrie is a big, big move. And I think that puts them in the class with the Golden State Warriors. Who else? I would say Phoenix when they're healthy. Now you have less pressure on Luka because what happened last year when Golden State played Luka? Luka did all that. They took out the Phoenix Suns. Then they went to Golden State, and I believe they lost 4-2. I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
So, but even though it was 4-2, Dallas or Golden State they controlled that whole round. So for me, going to get a Kyrie, that is a hell of a pickup. They're going to make some noise, some big noise in the West. A team that I think outside the Warriors, that's going to be a big team to watch out for. Obviously, is the Denver Nuggets. Jamal Murray is looking like, as they said, the bubble Jamal Murray. He's playing very well. They have a lot of pieces over there as well. But the Mavs going to grab Kyrie was a major plus. And for what they gave up to get him, I mean, somebody's work. They're doing a hell of a job in that front office. You still got your Tim Hardaway. Luka's still there. You still got Christian Wood. Those are some major pieces. And to have those, you give up one first-round pick, Finney Smith and Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie goes back to Brooklyn. But to give that up and get a piece like Kyrie for what he is on the court, that's a major piece for Dallas. Major piece. And on the Nets side, right now, I think that getting a Dinwiddie who was already there. Originally, him and Karis LeVert, they moved him to go into win now mode, right? So now you go get him. The biggest question is what happened with Kevin Durant. You have a young Ben Simmons. Finney Smith is there, who we'll see how long he stays. How does this play out for this team moving forward? Because having a Kyrie, obviously, he was kind of doing as much as he can for that team. And now that he's gone, Kevin Durant is more than likely, I believe, we could be hearing rumbles about him requesting a trade as well soon or wanting to leave. Like, what's going to happen with the Nets is kind of up in the air. Now, granted, one thing that I will say is that it is only Sunday. The trade deadline is Thursday, right?
Correct.
So there could be some more pieces being moved. So, we do see this. And remember I said before, I think I talked to you off air, I was like, man, some teams, they just be trading players just to be involved. I think we're going to see more of that. We may see Brooklyn make some more moves. Also Dallas, I think Dallas is fine with what they have. But this trade is big, man. And I think what we had, the expectation for Brooklyn has just went down a hell of a lot to me. The biggest thing that Kevin Durant went to Brooklyn with Kyrie is leaving a lot of question on what he's going to do. So, but this trade is one of the biggest that I've seen, and I think Dallas is the team that won this.
Real quick to the chat, shout out to Terry Rodriguez in the chat. How you doing tonight, sir? Hope all. Kind of surprised, Mr. Rodriguez, that California right now, like. I mean, hopefully everything's going well with you. Taryn, saying if Kyrie went to the Lakers, everyone would be criticizing that trade and laughing at the Lakers. Yeah, I think that's what happens when you got someone like Rob Pelinka that is easily to criticize and stuff like that. But I hope folks won't laugh at the Lakers for doing that move because it's a boom and bust type of deal. If it don't work out with Kyrie for the Lakers, then okay, it don't work out, and you get that cap space to do whatever. Maybe you fill out your roster better, to be honest with you. But to the trade for Kyrie to the Mavericks. The Mavericks, the reports are coming out, we're kind of just team a short list to kind of trade for Kyrie. Along with the Lakers, the Heat, Spurs and Clippers, the Mavs made sense to me because they were looking for somebody to help to go along with Luka. We talk about adding Christian Wood and stuff like that, and it was a fine addition. But some of the other moves they made, like giving JaVale McGee 3 years, close to $30 million, and he really hasn't made a dent for that team. You know, having guys like, you know, Davis Bertans, who if I was training for Kyrie, I would try and move off that deal in a heartbeat. Because you can find stretch forwards in the G League that can do what he does for a fraction of the price. But I'll say this. I'm interested to see how Luka and Kyrie plays out on the court. I think if you can get Luka off the ball more, moving around a little bit more, create some off-ball screens for him down low, and let him post up against smaller guards that he takes advantage of very easily. And if he gets double teamed down low, okay, you got Tim Hardaway out there, you know, Dwight Powell, Christian Wood, either like top of the key or somewhere down in the mid range, and plus Kyrie as well. And then on top of that, just playing out in my head, if you kick it back out to Kyrie, he can take you out the dribble very easily. Pick a roll to Christian Wood, who can pick and pop a roll to the basket. And then start to play Joe McGee more. Easy looks for him down low for lobs and all that stuff. There's various things you can do with this offense if Jason Kidd can put it all together. That's the big if. You can't just have one offensive series of Luka dribble, and then next series, offensive series, Kyrie dribble. It's not going to work. The flow's not going to work. It's not going to work for either guy. And both guys will be frustrated by that. And since you already got Luka locked down for the extension for the next 5 years, you know, Kyrie will be the odd man out. But you had to do something. You 6 right now, you know, in the West. The Golden State Warriors, Steph Curry can be out for the next several weeks. Minnesota, they've slowly coming up. New Orleans has had that losing streak until they beat the Lakers, in which they choked that away. Phoenix, I'll tie them in here in a second. They kind of been hot and cold. The Clippers, if Kawhi and Paul George continue playing, they'll be straight. The Sacramento Kings, one of the surprise teams in the NBA. De'Aaron Fox, by the way, should be put in place for Steph Curry in the All-Star game. Got robbed the first go around. He should be put in for that replacement for Steph Curry. Should have got ahead of Damian Lillard, to be honest with you. But that's here and there somewhat. Then you got the Memphis Grizzlies, John Morant. We'll talk about him a little bit. Good Lord. And the Denver Nuggets. Where everybody's playing fully healthy and stuff like that. The ball movement is great. Everything's going great for them. You know, I said earlier this year that I don't see Jokic being 3-time MVP in a row, but shit, it kind of looking like it. But back to the Mavs, though. If they can get things figured out, D-Lock, stay ahead in the 6th spot, maybe you can rise up a little bit. I think this trade can do wonders. But it's like ifs and buts, and we'll see how things work out for them. For the Brooklyn side of things, for me, with the reports saying that they wanted quality players to continue to stay in the playoff positioning, I get it, but it's just like you kind of shooting yourselves in the foot. Let me start from the top. Sean Marks should be let go after this year. The way things been handled with the coaching situation, you know, not handling the trade request for KD and Kyrie in the offseason, should have got the deal done. If you're not going to extend the man, get rid of him. Get what you can. That's my point. Get rid of him if you didn't want to extend him. Now we don't know what Kevin Durant's feeling. There's reports saying that he's not really feeling Ben Simmons like that. Your situation's a mess. That James Harden deal fell flat in your face, and you traded him this a year later. You gave up bad deals to Joe Harris. Your coach, and shout out to Cam Thomas, had 44 points in 29 minutes. For some reason, your coaching staff don't play your young guys for whatever reason. I don't know why. Cam Thomas proved that he could be a very good piece for your team, but for some reason or another, he gets DNPs every once in a while. And I just don't get it. But I don't know what Brooklyn's future going to be. Spencer Dinwiddie is a fine NBA player. We all know that. Dorian Finney-Smith, fine player as well. But Kevin Durant got to be looking at it like, damn. We're fourth in the West. If I at least had Kyrie, we could at least challenge the other three in Philly, Milwaukee, and Boston, and Cleveland. But now, since Kyrie's gone, Spencer Dinwiddie is kind of like a level below. No shade to him. I'm not winning a championship here. I can't depend on Ben Simmons, to do anything. And, we talked on the show, what I would offer up, if I was the Brooklyn Nets, say, hey, I'll give you Ben Simmons for John Collins. Work out for both of us. Down low help. All that stuff. But I don't know, D-Lock. I don't know where Brooklyn goes. They're 32-20. Other teams in the East, below them, 7 on down, I don't see none of those teams rising up unless they really catch fire. Washington had a nice winning streak, but now they lost 2 in a row. The Knicks, I think they'll make the playoffs, but they'll hover around that 5 to 8 spot. The Hawks, the same boat as the Knicks. Chicago, they're only in 9th place because the other teams below them suck. Let's be real about that. Indiana, nice story in the beginning of the season, but I think we kind of seen who they are now. And if I was them, they should trade Buddy Hield, free up more time for Benedict Mathurin. That's just me. The Raptors, Fred VanVleet been on trade rumors for the past month or so. You might well just sell high and trying to reset things for a little bit and kind of reshape that roster because the roster ain't cooking right now. And Orlando, Charlotte, and Detroit, they're in rebuild mode. No need to talk about them at the moment. But for Brooklyn, you're in a tough spot. I don't know what they're going to do. If Kevin Durant does stick around after the trade deadline, they will make the playoffs. But if Kevin Durant is still here past the deadline, then this summer's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. Moving off of Kyrie, it kind of triggered to me that they could be moving towards a rebuild mode. So what do you do with Kevin Durant? At this point, he has 2 or 3 years left?
Yep.
On contract?
3 years at least.
3 years, yeah. So at this point, I thought about it all throughout the week. I know it's hard to get off those guys, man. For them, they have so much high expectations. Us as fans and people that watch, we think like, yeah, you take this and take that and trade this person, that person. But I know pretty sure in that damn office, it got to be hard knowing that you had two of one of the best players to ever, be on the basketball court and on your franchise, and because of chemistry or they could not find a way to get it done, you didn't reach the NBA Finals, and now you have to start over. And let's not forget, he had James Harden with him.
Yep.
So you had three guys that can play iso ball all day and get any bucket they want, and they still couldn't get it done. So for me, I think that they have to, moving off of Kyrie, you have to think about what to do with Kevin Durant next, because at this point, we already know the injury history with Kevin Durant. We've seen him, try to make it without, all these big name players or these big stars, and that's clearly something that he has requested that he wants to get that far, which is fine. So what do you expect moving forward? Boston looks like the best team in the East. Miami's somewhat kind of struggling. They are struggling. Milwaukee looks like they're up there. Philly, if they can continue to move forward a little bit, there'll be a problem. So for me, do I see them getting far with Dinwiddie, Kevin Durant, and Ben Simmons? I'm not sure if I can really see it happening. So for somebody in Kevin Durant's shoes, who was quoted for saying he just wants to play ball, like, how do you go about this situation? Like, so now are you accepting, hey, it's going to be really tough to get that championship, or, hey, I'm going to try to prove that I can win without X, Y, and Z, and all these different things. Now, quick question, did Coach Vaughn, did he get that job for sure, or he did an intern?
I think he got the job for sure.
Okay.
But even when I tweeted from our show account at Flashback IESR, if you're not following it, even I posted on there on when Cam Thomas scored 44 points. Even I posted saying, y'all should be playing this dude more. And I also posted another thing that, Coach Vaughn should be questioned more about why he's not playing that dude. Even De'Aaron Sharp, a couple games ago, he had a very nice game off the bench. Had I think close to 15 rebounds, or at 15 rebounds. So it's just like, what is everybody doing here? If you want the veteran help, I go back to Golden State Warriors and James Wiseman, how they treated that situation, which I don't think Steve Nash can coach. I mean, Steve Kerr can't coach big men. I think if you want the veteran help, trade for the veteran help. Don't waste these guys' time and development. Keep on the bench. If you want the veteran guys, hey, trade for the veteran guys. If you got 2 first-round picks, like the Nets did a couple years ago, trade for a veteran guy. Same thing with the Warriors. If you want to add another superstar, don't pick James Wiseman number 2, Kuminga at 9, and Moody at 10 or whatever. Trade those picks away for whoever. Anthony Davis, whoever you want. Damian Lillard, wherever. But a lot of things you got to question about the Nets before we go to our subject. But the Sean Marks got to be let go. If I was owner, I wouldn't trust him with the rebuild. I'll get somebody new in there and go about it that way. And then that new guy can come in and figure out what to do with Kevin Durant if he ain't traded by the trade deadline, and do something with Ben Simmons. And then you get your full rebuild going through that way.
Correct.
And once you trade Durant, Give what you get for that. Expiring contracts. Do the same if you can. Try to do the same thing for Ben Simmons. If you got to take a big contract for at least 2 years to get out of his deal for the 4 years or so, so be it. But this team's a mess. And it's the thing that sucks. They're fourth in the West right now. I mean, East right now. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you're talking about a team that's still in the running, and now you make this big trade, and at this point, you know why Kevin Durant went there. Hell, if Kyrie would have went to New York Knicks, Kevin Durant would be a Knick right now. But that's not the case, and that's the proof to say that the reason why he went to Brooklyn is because his best buddy. Let's not forget they had the podcast about how they had a podcast together. Kyrie saying that they don't need a coach. They were doomed since then. And it just seems like since that time, they have not gotten things together. So now, at this point, like I said, Marks, he's going to have to, probably, like you said, let go is probably the biggest thing. Let's not forget, Kevin Durant had already called for him to let him go anyway, to start over. So, at this point, if I'm the Nets right now, I'm doing a fire sale. And the reason why is because like you said, you're in this rebuild mode. It's not working. You went from think about it, they had 3 different trios, or 2 different trios. They had Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden. They had Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and Ben Simmons. Neither one of them worked out. A piece that I really like on that team is Claxton. I think he's playing extremely ill, so that's probably somebody that I wouldn't necessarily let go. But everything else is a fire sale. I mean, it's not really going anywhere. You remember I was quoted saying that this is one of the better rosters I've seen from top to bottom. They had a hell of a roster and still could not get it done. They were one of those teams that you try to you draft on 2K. With all these guys, and you find a way to make it work. They could not make it work. So, moving forward, they have to make a decision. And, you can see if Kevin Durant can get them there, but at this point, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis, Brook Lopez, Milwaukee's already set. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Boston's already set. These teams are primed and ready to go pretty far in the playoffs. So for me, Brooklyn probably needs to start to clean house. But the biggest piece that they're going to have to trade and let go or trade is Kevin Durant now, which seems like things are keeping their eyes on that. But they're going to have to start over and accept that. Hey, you tried something and it did not work for whatever reason. The main reason was you got 2 guys who were best friends and, in a sense, probably both wanted to prove that they could win without LeBron or beat LeBron, and that did not happen. So they need to make some moves, and starting over seems like the way to go.
So, and then to top it off on this, they didn't go to New York. I mean, they could have, but they didn't go to the Knicks. They came to Brooklyn, and a lot of circumstances happened, but things didn't just work out as they hoped. And now, here we are right now. The best this team has ever looked with these guys, and since these guys signed, and look where everybody's at now. But switching gears real quick, D-Lock. Steph Curry is going to be out multiple weeks with a leg injury. Trying to pull up the exact injury real quick. Come on now. He's been out with a leg injury. The Warriors have looked so this year after the championship run. We figured, Jordan Poole would continue taking next step. He got his contract extension. James Wiseman, he was out for the year. Now he'll be back to the fold of things. Klay Thompson will have more bill of health and all that stuff. Now we kind of look at this team as like, okay, Klay, Steph have missed time over the year. Steve Kerr really doesn't trust James Wiseman like that. Draymond Green still like a liability on offense. Jordan Poole, he's had his moments this year. They're 7th in the West now. But with Steph Curry being out for multiple weeks, how do you see this team shaking out for the rest of the year?
Well, they've been having some ups and downs all year long. And the biggest thing with me is the inconsistency from this team. And Steph has been out for some time. I just feel like they are catching the injury bug right now. And it sucks because now that Klay is somewhat getting back to his healthy self, now Steph is hit with it. And for me, I think that the biggest thing with the Warriors is they need to play a hell of a lot better defense than they have been playing. They get these games where we're known for them playing pretty decent defense. Draymond is a liability now, who is known for being the defender that he is. We were hoping that he would, make a much better impact. But looking at their most recent games, they're letting teams get over 115 a game. They played against Atlanta when the season started. Or the season started in 2023, I think January 2nd, they gave up 140 damn points. So they have to show up this defense.
Yeah.
Now they do have the Thunder coming in, who SGA is playing out of his mind right now. Hell, if anything, that front office needs to try to find some trade pieces to help him out. He's going to come in and play a huge problem. They got Dame coming up after that, and then the Lakers. So it's going to be pretty tough for them moving forward without Steph. Jordan Poole, this is the reason why you pay him. He has to come up and step up and play a better role moving forward. So I would expect that we see more of Kuminga. Also Klay Thompson, who usually has that injury management. I think that we're going to play a little bit. We'll see a lot more of him. Although Jordan Poole has stepped up when Steph has been out, another person that has stepped up big time is Dante DiMatteo. And I think that we'll see more of him. But it's going to be a tough road for them. And the reason why is not just because Steph is out, but their defense is just not what we are accustomed to. We're talking about a team that lives and dies by the three. But they shoot bad. If they shoot good, they're decent. But they shoot bad, now they're in a hellhole. And those days are those games where your shots are just off, that is going to come. That happens. Hell, even with Steph being there. So, for me, I think that looking at the schedule, you're looking at OKC, Portland, Lakers, the Wizards, the Clippers, Lakers again. They got some teams that are going to put up some points. But you're going to need Jordan Poole to step up. Draymond needs to tighten up on that back end. He needs to play better defense. And I think they'll be pretty good. But even with that, they're even with the opportunities that Kuminga has gotten sometimes, there have been games where he just hasn't played well. and that is what needs to change as well. So I think they'll be fine, but the defense is what they need to tighten up on. You know, the shooting is fine. They got shooters. That's not a problem. They can tighten up on the defensive side, then they'll be good. But this season has just been up and down for them.
I think this is the Warriors' chance to kind of see what they have in Washington that kind of changed up things for the last ride with Steph and crew. Draymond probably won't be back around next year because he probably want a high amount of money and they really ain't going to pay him. And they already paid Wiggins and Jordan Poole. So Draymond's out of the equation. I hate to sound like a broken record about these three guys, but Kuminga, Moody, and Wiseman should be factored in a rotation. You've been trotting out guys like DiVincenzo, you know, what's his name? God, what's that guy's name? Jerome. Ty Jerome.
Yep.
You know, JaMychal Green, who I like, and all that stuff. Bama guy, all that stuff. But, and Kevon Looney, he is who he is. But nothing really moving the needle with those guys in heavy rotation. So, you know, why not play Kuminga more? Why not play Wiseman more? Why not play Moody more? See what you got. And those guys ain't it. Move off of them in the summer. If you don't think Wiseman's it, and if you think you need a veteran to kind of help with this team, maybe when Steph gets back, then trade him now. Trade him now. You know? It's just odd that, like I said, I think Steve Kerr cannot coach big men. And I think, you know, with his time in Phoenix, kind of, I don't know, blinded him how a big man supposed to be. And also his playing time in Chicago. Yes, I know he played for the Spurs with Tim Duncan and all that stuff, but you kind of see where I'm looking at right now. He's just looking for guys that just rebound, jump, and be a garbage man down low. And that's fine and dandy. And yes, that formula has worked for this Warriors team. But after a while, you know, the run and gun stuff catch up to you at a while, and kind of seeing the cracks of it right now. And I said in the show in the past, D-Lock, like, you got a nice young prospect that you could do stuff with. And if this guy can develop to a solid starter in the league and maybe potential all-star, and you can still hang on to these guys that can even getting older, but they can still shoot the ball very well. It was Curry, Thompson, and then you got Poole and Moody, you know, in the wings. You can do some things in the future. If James Wiseman could develop like an Anthony Davis type and can stay healthy, oh, that's butter. That's gravy. But it seems like they don't want to take advantage of that. Steve Kerr don't want to take advantage of that. And if I'm smart, if I'm some team, like, let's say, let me throw out a team. Let's say, like, if I'm some team like the Magic, for example, why not? I'm not making them playoffs this year. I could still get potentially a top pick with my own pick. Why not offer Jonathan Isaac? Maybe a Mobamba. And a future first round pick for my team for James Wiseman. I'm not giving multiple picks for James Wiseman, but I give you a future first. Why not make that gamble? You get off the contracts of Obama and Isaac, and I get a nice young big in James Wiseman, who I can just throw out there, play at least 30 minutes a game, see what I get out of him. I would. And then for the Warriors, they get that veteran help. You know, you get a Jonathan Isaac, who looked pretty decent back from injury. 7-footer. Can shoot the ball out, defend very well. Who will make that deal? I know you probably add another salary in there from the Warriors standpoint. But, hey, why not? I'm just saying that, you know, Steph being out, yeah, you could throw in Jordan Poole in the starting lineup, but like we said, you discussed, you talking about the definition up and down of a season. The Warriors are one of those teams this year. And they won't continue want to make the playoffs, then Jordan Poole got to play his ass off. And if he ain't playing his ass off, then this team will be playing the play-in tournament to get into the playoffs. And that's kind of been like, since that format, the Warriors have been kind of doing that here past couple of years.
Yeah, and my thing is, I just don't. You have a lot of the thing that we talked about with this team after they won the NBA Finals was like, look how much depth they have. Look at this roster, like they got so many pieces of rotation. They can do X, Y, and Z. So let these young guys go out here and play. And with, this injury to a Steph, this is going to force these guys to go out here and play the ass off, give them the opportunity to do something to make a big impact. Now, granted, if this team was in the East, I don't think we would be talking about such a big issue. Because like you said, you got a team fourth in the East right now that got all kind of things going on with their roster. So I would say, when it comes to that, that's something that we really wouldn't have a big issue with. But it's not. You're on the West with the Denver Nuggets, with the Los Angeles Lakers, who are looking like they're trying to make a push, with the Phoenix Suns, who if they get healthy, they'll be right, with the Dallas Mavericks, who we've seen make a monster move. So the Warriors need to, they got to right the ship. This ship has to get them moving in the right direction, because if not, they could be that team that is in the play-in. And we'll get to Memphis in a minute, but Memphis is, we talked about them last week. They're kind of struggling, but they're still one of the top teams in the West. So, for me, they need to understand that, okay, cool, we do have a, Hall of Fame player that this defense, to capitalize, to avoid not dropping so far down with him being out, let's tighten up the weaknesses that we have. And one of the major weaknesses is defense. So we need to see them play a hell of a lot better. We haven't seen Wiseman out of how long. So for me, I think that obviously it's a big deal that Steph is out. You're not going to see him taking them 3-pointers from 3-point land. I mean, from 30-footers or 35-footers from half court. But the biggest thing that the Warriors need to play is better defense. Draymond still has, the situation where Draymond can mouth off too much of the ref and get techs. At this point, those technical fouls are not going to help anything right now. So, for me, this is something that they need to fix. Steve Curry and them need to get things right, but they need to find these different rotations. Because the defense is what's really hurting this team.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on with the Warriors. It's like, And I wonder if they make any moves at the trade deadline. That'd be a real curious thing to see. And how they go about the trade deadline since Steph's going to be out for the next few weeks. So it'll be real to see what this Warrior team does for the short term. Long term, they got a lot of questions. Questions that shouldn't be questions, but such as life, things happen. This next person, Ja Morant. Has been investigated by the NBA. For allegedly being involved with somebody who's pointing a gun at some of the Pacers staff. I'm reading this from the Athletic. Here's the story as follows. Following a game between the Pacers and Memphis Grizzlies on January 29th, in Memphis, acquaintances of Grizzlies star Ja Morant aggressively confronted members of the Pacers traveling party near the team's bus in the loading area of FedEx Forum. Later, someone in a slow-moving SUV, which Morant was riding in, trained a red laser on them. Let me stop right there in that part. When I read that, D-Lock, what are your thoughts on that and Morant being in the car, knowing that person is pointing the gun with the red laser? And we discussed a couple weeks ago about the Darius Mouse situation in Alabama. What he did. And then kind of update on that real quick. It was Darius Miles' gun that I don't know what he gave or the guy he was with took, but it was his gun that unfortunately killed that young lady down in Tuscaloosa. We talked about that situation a couple weeks ago. Now we come into this situation. Morant was in the SUV with the individual pointing the gun at Pacers staff. What are your thoughts on that? Knowing what we talked about a few weeks ago and up to now.
Well, my thing is, and I said it off the air, this is stuff that you just don't have. You don't put. These are situations that you don't put yourself in, just as a human being. First of all, but to know that you have so much at risk as an athlete, professional athlete, with so much on his name, known so much. What is the point of it?
Yeah.
Like, this is not, you are riding around with somebody who, I guess, is trying to show that laser on somebody. How does that help you moving forward in what you're trying to do career-wise? Think about what we know about athletes is there's life after sports.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be a great athlete forever. You're going to decline. You're going to move on to different things. We see many athletes become coaches, athletes go on different career to commentate, all these different things. Now, one thing that would not disappear from them is their history. So why in the hell would Ja Morant or athletes in that same area put yourself in a situation where these are things that can be put on your permanent record, as they used to tell us when we were in middle school and high school. Like, this will follow you if it goes worse. So why put yourself in that situation? How does it make sense? Because whoever this person that you were with, more than likely is not seeing the kind of attention and the money and the fame that you are seeing. And you're riding with this person. So what I'm trying to say is they don't have so much to lose as you do, as Ja Morant does. So how does that, what is the beneficial of that? How does that benefit you? So for for me, I feel like it's just stupid, man. Like I said before, there's so much stuff that has happened historically that athletes know about that you would think they just wouldn't put themselves in those situations. Like, granted, like I said, nobody's perfect. They're going to have mistakes and different things. But there's just certain damn situations you just don't even put yourself in that you should already know. Like, there's just no excuse for you being with a person that basically, if they just sneeze or they just pull the trigger, now we're talking about a totally different situation and you're in the car with them. Now your life has changed just because you're in the car with them. So, where do you see, where does an athlete, where does he see that as a positive thing? So for me, young athletes, every decision that you make, we were told this as kids, but now as adults, every decision that you make, they have a greater impact, whether it's good, whether it's bad. Now, when you make these type of decisions, now what I mean by that is, it's as simple as where you are, who you hanging with. You know, what do they have going on compared to what you have going on? Because, again, this person who's allegedly pointing a red laser gun at somebody, they may not have as much to do as John Morant does.
Yep.
So the fact is, they're doing this, and it's just like, well, damn, okay, I may lose this, that, and the third, but you're not talking about a basketball career. You're not talking about the fame, all these things that come with what John Morant has. So to me, I feel like I'm hoping that this does enough to him to where he doesn't. He's seeing what is happening right now, that he doesn't make this mistake twice. Because you only get so many chances. There's only so many times that, you know, something happens and it's not enough to get you into a hell of a lot more trouble. At some point, if you keep putting yourself in these similar situations, there could be more ramifications that can go on with it. So come on, man, like, this doesn't make any sense. At this point, it's just, and I'm not saying be the perfect person to where you don't do anything, you stay at home and don't do a damn thing. But hell, if you know somebody is having a sense of trying to harm somebody, don't have your ass in the car with them. Like, what does that? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, man. And these are the decisions that change not only the person's life, John Morant's life, but change his parents' lives. You know, change his family lives. You know, it goes about to say that more so now, decisions that you make not only affect her, but affect your family members. So come on, these type of decisions are gotta start thinking through some of these things, because athletes feel like they're invincible and think, well, nah, this shit ain't gonna happen to me. But we've seen it happen recently with multiple things. We talk about one of the greatest players I've ever seen in my life play football. And to this day, I said it. I think Michael Vick was one of the greatest players to ever play in the NFL. Sounds like a huge fan of his. But to see him miss so much time because of what he done, what he did, like that literally tells you how your life can change in one mistake or one decision. That could cost him the Hall of Fame. Because I believe that if he would have continued to play, he could have been a player that could have been really considered. Ain't no way in hell he's going to be considered now. Because of the decision that he made. So, I say that to say we have multiple athletes that need to make smart decisions. And this situation with John Morant, this come on, this could have gotten worse.
To the chat real quick, Terry Rodriguez saying, you know, John Morant, Josh should know better, especially what happened in Memphis earlier. I think he probably alluding to the police situation and all that, you know. And everybody thought Memphis was going to turn up, but no. There's a piece of protest, the death of Tyree Nichols, all that. So, and then also Terry, you know, said, And where's the logic in Ja being friends with someone pointing lasers and doing dumb stuff like that? Hell, like we discussed about a couple weeks ago with Darius Miles, former player of Alabama, being charged with capital murder. Him finding the gun that killed the lady in Tuscaloosa a couple weeks ago. Or a few weeks ago. You gotta watch who you hang out with. You're in a situation that, I'm not saying you're going to the pros or not, but you're in a good position to be ahead of a lot of other people in life. And you pissed all the way over an argument. And with Ja Morant, we discussed off the air, after Nike dumped Kyrie, Ja Morant was the next one in line, and he got a new shoe coming out. Nice new contract from the Grizzlies. Endorsements out the Yin Yang. Potential all-star starters with Steph going to be out. And now he's doing stuff like this, or being involved with stuff like this. Come on now. And the Grizzlies got a good chance of making to at least the Western Conference Finals this year. But I'll continue reading the article real quick. After the game, the Pacers players, coaches, and support staff entered the loading area to board a team bus. About 30 to 40 yards away from the bus were two parked cars. Pack and 4 to 5 men emerged from those cars, walked to within 30 feet of the Pacers group and began shouting at them. According to the sources, the remarks directed at them by Pack and others included, Come get some of this. You don't know how we roll. I'll show you what I got. Some Pacers players and others yelled back at them. And according to people present, Pacers and NBA and arena security got between the two groups. The verbal sparring continued intermittently for approximately 15-20 minutes until Morant entered the loading area. He, Pack, and others dispersed into two vehicles. Morant, Pack, and one other person got to one SUV, sources said. The first vehicle turned around and toward the bus, and before exiting up a ramp and out of the arena's loading area, the SUV moved toward the Pacers bus, turned around and slowed, and that's when members of the Pacers traveling party noticed a red laser coming from the car being trained on players, coaches, and others. So from a verbal spat to a turnaround to kind of intimidate people, it's not a very good look. Now, one Ja Morant has come out and said, all this is cap. I sent you something not too long ago through Twitter. Ja Morant quote tweeted somebody. He's saying, Ja Morant saying, did an investigation and see they were capping. Still let our article come out to paint this negative image on me and my fam. And ban my brother from home games for a year. Unbelievable. So, where do you see this going from here? Because if you're Grizzlies ownership, you got, he's your face of your franchise. Where do you see this going from here for Ja Morant?
They have to do more research to figure out what initially happened, and figure out exactly what it was, because this can get very ugly. We've seen Memphis players, Reese Dillon Brooks, get into it with multiple people over the past couple weeks. Right now, that they have to figure out what the hell is going on, because right now it could turn for the worst. Like I said, we've seen historically different athletes. I believe we talked about Aaron Hernandez being in a very bad situation as well. So they have to do their research on this. John Morant just has to make wiser decisions, man. I mean, there's a lot of things that is being said, but there's a lot of things that won't be said about said player if they're just doing what the hell they're supposed to be in the places that they're supposed to be. Like, a lot of this stuff, like, it could be a cap or a lot of different things could be, I guess, exaggerated. But it's very hard to exaggerate a lot of things when you literally are doing most of what you're supposed to be doing in the places that you're supposed to be. Watching the people that you are around. So a lot of this, like, it's a lot of different things going on, but again, it goes back to making wild decisions. And Memphis is going to have to definitely do their research and find out more about this, which they will.
I'll put a bow on this. It's like, as black males, if there's a chance of folks to kind of wait for your downfall, or you to screw up and lose $1 million and people categorize you in the in the media and stuff like that to tear you down, all that stuff, in a heartbeat, they will do it. Stuff like this, you can't put yourself in situations like this. You can't. Like you allude to Michael Vick. He's one. Aaron Hernandez, who never let that life go. When he entered college, he never let that life go. And then we got to the pros, he never let that life go. And now he's dead. Lawrence Phillips, the running back for used to be from Nebraska, hell of a running back, never let that life go. Javarvis Crittenden, guy used to play at Georgia Tech, very highly talented player coming out of high school, played with Dwight Howard. Never let that life go. He's doing a life sentence, I believe, for killing a woman. When you're in the league, man, you got to let go of situations. So John Morant, he got to take a page out of Patrick Mahomes' playbook and tell his people to chill. Say, hey, look, y'all still come to games and stuff like that, but y'all got to chill. Like Patrick did to his wife and his brother. Hey, y'all got to chill. Y'all hurting the brand. And John Morant got to do the same thing. Tell his daddy, so stop trying to be seen, come to the games, sit there, be quiet. I don't know what his brother does, but if he's getting banned for a year, then he's doing something. Tell his little behind to chill too. So, tell your people to chill, and things will be all right. I'm not saying you can't have security and stuff like that, especially in Memphis, where, off topic, seem like a lot of jealous dudes will come get you just because they jealous. See what happened to young Dolph. But Morant got to chill out. And this team, like I said, could do something special. The Warriors are down. Like Terry Rodriguez said in the chat, if the Clippers stay healthy, that's a big if. They could do some damage, but I think Memphis can get them. The Phoenix Suns are down. Jay Crowder, he don't want to show up. Cam Johnson's injured. DeAndre Ayton don't want to be there. Chris Paul getting up there in age. Devin Booker's injured. They're down. The only team you really got to worry about is the Nuggets. And maybe the Kings. So Memphis got a chance to make the finals. And stuff like this, keep their focus out. And they were on a losing streak for a while. At that, and still second in the West. So, I know it's young age, but still, you got to be smarter than what you do right now.
This is true.
Real quick, I'm looking at some news. According to Chris Haynes, the Suns reportedly offered Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, and picks to Brooklyn for Kyrie Irving. What you think about that? That Phoenix may be trying to get off Chris Paul, get Jay Crowder done out the way, and picks to Brooklyn for Kyrie. What you think about that proposed scenario that didn't happen?
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. If I was Brooklyn, hell, I probably would have taken that over that Dallas deal.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have helped his NBA career. I'm not saying he would have helped his shooting or his free throw. I'm just saying he would have helped his career. Chris Paul, even though he's up there in age, he's a hell of a leader. And I'll go get Jay Crowder as a defender. You would have had Jay Crowder. Shoot, I definitely would have. I would have considered that. It just gets me wondering why they did not take that over. Maybe Dinwiddie was a hell of a lot younger, so that probably made a big difference. I don't know if Phoenix has the space to sign Kyrie to a 4-year deal, which is what he's looking for. So maybe that played a part as well. But yeah, I definitely would have. I would have considered that, man. Now I say this, because we're hearing that these teams offer this or offer that for said player. I think that we do hear a player that wasn't expected to be traded by Thursday. Just because now they're hearing their name being tossed into trades, they can be like, well, hell, if you want to trade me, go ahead and trade me. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the Lakers do. I think they wanted to get Kyrie. I don't think that Brooklyn was trying to help them. Brooklyn was trying to send Kyrie there. I think that was the last destination that they wanted to send him to, especially with him requesting to be the one out. But I still think the Lakers are going to make a move. Being the fact that Chris Paul was a name that was mentioned in the Brooklyn and Phoenix trade, there's a good chance that I think that the Lakers are going to try to push for Chris Paul. Now, what they give up is the question, but I do think now, hearing that Chris Paul was part of they're willing to get off of Chris Paul. I wouldn't rule out the Lakers trying to get him or somebody else. Obviously, it seems like Brooklyn. Not Brooklyn. The LA Clippers are looking for a point guard as well. So, I think there's a hell of a lot more good news that's going to drop prior to the trade deadline.
I think, like you alluded to, I think that Chris Paul got himself a deal for that run to his early 40s. You're talking about Kyrie, that's at least about 8 years younger or so from Chris Paul. So, not the worst deal to do. If Kyrie doesn't work out for you in Phoenix, then he walks. But you get off Jay Crowder, you get off special Chris Paul in his late age. Okay, now you got that cap room. Kyrie's out the books, Chris Paul out the books, Jay Crowder's out the books. You know, the way DeAndre Ayton is playing for you and don't really want to be there. And plus, all this you gotta think about is in the fold as well. So you gotta take that into account of things. And new ownership probably want to do something splashy to kind of announce themselves that they're here. So for me, looking at that deal, if you're Brooklyn, if you're trying to at least keep KD there, Chris Paul is not a bad consolation prize. You know, granted, if he'd be kind of in and out of the lineup this year. But, you know, that's something that Brooklyn should have maybe looked at. Now, maybe, you know, they want to get younger. They get a nice, more team-friendly deal in Spencer Dinwiddie. That's why they went in that route, and so be it. But you're talking about Kevin Durant that kind of at least want to win a championship. Sniff one. Chris Paul probably being your better bet than Spencer Dinwiddie. No shade of Spencer Dinwiddie. And maybe Jay Crowder as well. So, and then you brought up the Lakers. Maybe if they offer Chris Paul like that, if you're the Lakers, do you turn around like years later and make that gamble for Chris Paul? Even though the league should let it go anyways. But anyways, years ago. Anyways, do you make that gamble for Chris Paul? Trade Russ, the first round picks. Throw in maybe throw in somebody else and you get Chris Paul and Jay Crowder in the mix. Do you do that? So, and you get Jay Crowder, that guy can spread the floor for you, play some tough defense. Chris Paul can make everybody else around him better. Set up more things more easily for Anthony Davis and for LeBron. Hachimura. Austin Reeves when he gets back. A lot of questions right there for the Lakers. And also for the Lakers. I did this on Twitter for IESR vid. I know the Hornets still kind of issue with Russell Westbrook. I'm saying this on the airways right now. If you do deal with the Hornets, you better ask for some damn draft capital back if you take him back. Either both, Gordon Hayward or Terry Rozier, either or. Don't matter. Get draft capital. If you're Rob Pelinka, get draft capital back for those guys. Because those guys are not reliable. Gordon Hayward's been hurt ever since that ankle injury. Terry Rozier is a very streaky scorer.
Yep.
If you're Rob Pelinka, if they're not giving you draft capital back, and like I said, I don't expect, their first round pick for this coming year, in which they may land a number one pick. I'm not saying they're gonna give up that pick. If they did, they are fucking stupid. But anyways, talking about fight for 2024, 2025. Get a first round pick from there. Because I take him on bad contracts. I give you an expiring, and then maybe somebody like Max Christie. You got to give me a first round pick in a couple seconds or something. So, if you're Lakers, I don't know if they're going to do something. I don't know. The trade deadline is coming up soon.
Yeah, they need to do something.
And if they don't make a move, I think they're valuing those picks down the road for the future after LeBron. That's the only way. If they think they can make some moves now and trying to make life easier for LeBron, then they'll make the move. If they don't, I think they're just looking towards for the future. But also in saying the future, D-Lock, you got to protect yourself also. That's the thing. You can't just give up everything willy-nilly and leave your ass bare naked. That's just my thoughts. Because the Hornets, if they don't keep Russ, that's $46 million off their cap book. And 2 players gone from their salary, and then, they get the number all pick. They're drafting the Victor guy from France. You got LaMelo Ball, you got cap space. Now they off to the races. So that's my point. Some of these teams, making some of these moves. Like right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves beat the crap out of the Denver Nuggets today. Just now. Now, granted, Jokic and Jamal Murray didn't play. But still, you look at the Timberwolves right now. No Karl-Anthony Towns, and it seems like they've been playing better without Karl-Anthony Towns in the lineup. Really weird right now. And you gotta be careful how you see players that fit your team. Kind of like we look at the Timberwolves. Towns being out, team at times seems like they kind of play better. If we get Towns back into the lineup, how they gonna look with Gobert and Towns in the lineup? Not good. It hasn't been looking good. And now this team is rising up in the rank in the standings. Knocking on the door, hitting going to 7. So, do you have any other players that you see might get moved by the trade deadline?
Well, the biggest person I think is obviously Jay Crowder. I think that we could definitely see him being moved. Hell, if it wasn't, well, he still got suspended, but I would like to see Mo Bamba get his ass moved at this point, because right now, Wendell Carter already got the extension. It looked like he's going to be the guy. Bo was playing pretty well. I think he told me about a month ago, texting and said he's going to get paid in the offseason. So, at this point, I think that Mo Bamba is going to be a player that will more than likely be traded. I also see maybe Evan Fournier, if anybody want to take that damn contract.
Ooh.
I think he's going to be a person that we could see him in a deal big time. But just another person, too, that's very, very huge. They're playing exceptionally well for Utah is Malik Beasley. Utah has a lot of pieces over there. Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt have been playing pretty well for them. But I think that they will try to get away. They definitely try to move him, depending on what they get in return. And another big name too is Kyle Lowry. The signing to him getting to Miami just has not done anything. Like, it just hasn't done anything great in my mind. So, him, another name to watch out for too. I don't think he'll get moved, but it's a dart throw. It's Josh Hart.
Yeah, his name is popping out.
Yeah, I mean, he's a player that they got so many guards over there, and with they ain't playing how he's playing with Anthony Simons. I think that Josh Hart, who he plays extremely well. I like what he's doing there, but I think he might be the odd man out. I think there's a possibility that that they move him. So it's a few names out there, but also one more, OG Anunoby.
Yeah.
I think that teams are going to try to make a push for him, but we'll see. I mean, I think at this point, teams have to make those decisions and decide if they want to make that offer. I mean, because the thing about NBA draft picks, they're not like NFL draft picks, right? You get you a first round pick and it's valuable, but it just doesn't seem like it's as valuable as a first round pick in the NFL. And that's why you hear a lot of picks, a lot of teams trade for multiple first round picks or first round pick and a lot of second round picks and a key player. So to see some of these guys move, I think that they're going to have to give up a lot for that. So yeah, I think that those are the guys that really cover it for me. But again, we're talking about the trade deadline. I'm pretty sure next Sunday we'll hear and see hell of players that got moved that we weren't expecting. A team got involved that we weren't expecting, or that said they're not trading this person or trading that person. So it's going to be interesting to see what happened. But those names are the ones that stick out to me, especially with only a few days left before the trade deadline.
For me, real quick, I'll look at players first. Jay Crowder, like the name you mentioned, I think you're Phoenix. You gotta get something done soon. If not, ask him to come back and play the year or help your team out or something. But something got to be done by the trade deadline. Either if he gets traded, cool, you're done with him. If he doesn't get traded, ask him to come back, ask to play for you, because you just wasting money and all that stuff. Just keep on the books doing nothing. It's kind of silly on both parties on that. Serge Ibaka, his name has come up in trade talks with the Bucks. We'll see if he gets moved or bought out. We'll see about that. Looking else around the league, Zach LaVine's another name to keep an eye on. His name has come out with the Lakers and all that stuff. And if you're the Bulls, I think sometimes you gotta look and say, okay, it's not working. It was cool for one first part of the season last year. Now things kind of spiraling. Lonzo Ball hasn't worked out. Kobe White hasn't worked out. Patrick Williams hasn't worked out. So if you're Chicago, if you get a chance to get out of Zach LaVine's contract, and take on aspiring like Russell Westbrook or something like that, do it. Other players, Russell Westbrook, his name will continue to be popped up because of the huge salary. Wherever the Lakers do, his name should be mentioned. Josh Hart, like you alluded to, his name has been coming up in trade talks lately, linked to the Cavaliers. So we'll see if that happens there. Other players I may or may not see get moved. Kelly Oubre, Gordon Hayward, Terry Rozier, those guys are names that we keep an eye on. Obi Toppin for the Knicks, his name been popping up for trade talks. Linked to the Pacers, Jazz. So we'll see if he gets moved. OG Oyunbaye, that's another name been really, really popping up here for the past week. And Fred VanVleet as well. His name's been popping up as well. I don't know if Toronto makes a move or not. They seem like they're kind of hesitant to do something. We'll see about that. Teams that I think should be making deals, or should make a deal with OKC Thunder. You got a lot of draft capital.
Yep.
I'm not saying you got to do something at this deadline, but if Shea Gilgeous-Alexander continue his play like this, along with Josh Giddey and others, I think you got to take a swing to get somebody else in to maybe fill out your team better. Maybe not. If you're OKC, you really got to do something. Looking else around the league, the Knicks, I don't know if we can get off Fournier, like you alluded to, Fournier's contract, Derrick Rose's deal. I don't know if you can get up those guys' deals and do something. Maybe not. I don't know. The Pelicans. They had a long losing streak. Brandon Ingram was out again today. Granted, they won against the Kings. Very good win for them. You know, Trey Murphy had 30 points. CJ McCollum had 24. You know, 22-16 off the bench for Hernan Gomez. It's good to see Kyrie Lewis get some good time at 11 points for him off the bench. But I think you can maybe get rid of some glut at the wing and maybe add like a shooter in the starting lineup. OG Onyeabor, it seems like perfect. Maybe give up Dyson Daniels, Devontae Graham. And if they ask for Herb Jones, it may be too much. If you can maybe give up a first-round pick and maybe Kyrie Lewis or something like that, maybe they get the deal done with the Raptors. I don't know. But the Pelicans need like a shooter at that forward spot. And then maybe somebody at point guard as well. Because, I mean, look at the assist line. McCollum had 4 assists. Marshall had 4 assists. And Herman Gomez had 4 assists. And Kyrie Lewis had 4 assists. I mean, granted, you moving the ball and all that stuff. But you kind of want your lead guard to be your main assist guy. So, that's who I think should be making moves. I think we both in the camp like Brooklyn maybe should be tearing it down, but I don't think Sean Marks should be leading that charge. I think the Bulls should be in the market to make moves to tear it down and not make moves to kind of still compete like reports have suggested. So I think we'll see here in the next day or so, a couple days or so, and see some moves getting turned out and all that stuff. Kyrie's the first chip. Now we're going to see what's going to happen to Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, Zach LaVine, OJ Onyeabor, Fred VanVleet, and others. We'll see what's going to happen with these guys. How the league's going to shake about.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, it's the trade deadline coming up. But I already said it before. I've seen teams trade pieces just to be part of, we traded somebody. It don't need to be no major adjustment to their roster. They just trade pieces just because. So, but again, I mean, with the days winding down, one of the bigger trades is out the way. I still don't think Brooklyn is done. I think they still going to be trying to look for other pieces. And being the fact that we got to hear the news about Kevin Durant, I think there's more to come from Brooklyn.
Go to the college basketball side of things real quick. Going to Saturday scores real quick. Virginia Tech beat Virginia 74-68. The Hokies 14-9 the season, beating their in-state rivals. Iowa State 68-53 over Kansas this past Saturday. Big win for the Iowa State in Ames. And I tweeted from our show account, I think a team that can make a good run to the Final Four. They're that good this year. And of course, it depends on brackets and all that stuff, but I think they can make a good run to at least the Elite 8 or Final Four in my mind. UConn beating Georgetown by 6, 68-62. D-Lock, I think this is the end of the road for Patrick Ewing at Georgetown.
Yep.
I think that run in the tournament a couple seasons ago saved his job, but it has not been pretty ever since after that. Baylor beating the crap out of Texas Tech. I watched that game, 89-62. If you get big on Texas Tech, they got no shooting to come back. And Baylor took advantage of that, especially in the second half. Texas Tech could not shoot for nothing, get nothing going outside, and Baylor took advantage of that outside and inside. So big win for the Bears. Auburn losing to Tennessee 46-43. I just can't wait till Alabama plays Auburn. And I hope we beat the shit out of them. 46-43, Tennessee winning against Auburn. By the way, Auburn got a nice commitment from a kid from Baker High School. I forgot the kid's name, but one of the top scorers in the nation. I'll get the kid's name here in a little bit. Marquette beating Butler by 8, 60-52. Shaka Smart probably made a good move going from Texas to Marquette. Not a lot of pressure, all that stuff. So I think he's content in Marquette. Oklahoma State beat TCU 79-73, even being up big in the first half. They let Texas TCU come back in it, but they won by 6. So a good win by the Cowboys. Indiana over at Purdue 74-79 at Assembly Hall. Big win by Indiana. Good statement win by Mike Woodson and crew. But I think Purdue will be all right. One of the teams I still expect to at least make the Elite 8, Final 4. Miami 78-74 over Clemson. Alabama beating LSU by 10. That was the best game for Brandon Miller, but everybody else off the bench contributed very well for the Tide to win by 10. Texas beating Kansas State by 3, 69-66. Big win for Texas State to get their revenge against Kansas State. Xavier beating St. John's 96-71. Good win for the Xavier squad. UCLA over Washington 76-52. Very good game by Jarquez. 24 points, 15 rebounds for him. Very great, good night for him to lead the way for the Bruins. Arizona 84-52 over Oregon State. And then finally, St. Mary's in overtime beat Gonzaga 78-70. I figured with Drew Timmy coming back for Gonzaga, I thought they'd be, I don't say to be world beaters, but I thought they'd be a little bit better. But they taken some bad losses, especially in conference play for the Bulldogs. So, those are the scores from Saturday. Houston beat Temple, get their revenge on them today. They beat them 81-65. So, good bounce back win for them against Temple. Monday slate, you got Duke and Miami, Texas and Kansas. Also going back to Saturday. Duke beats Carolina 63-57. Kind of this middle road season for these two teams. I figured Duke be a little bit better with the recruit class coming in, but the recruits really haven't panned out as we hope. UNC with everybody coming back is kind of wet the bed in a sense, but Duke get the first strike at home against North Carolina. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us, in this extended period. I'm glad y'all listened to us. Thank y'all for all the support. D-Lock, how can people find you on social media?
You guys can find me at Black-813. Super Bowl is coming up, so I definitely will be talking about that. Also, the trade deadline Thursday. There's going to be a lot of retweets. Hopefully, my Magic do something. So let them know they can find you at, man, in the show's page.
You can find the show on Twitter at FastBreakIESR. That's FastBreakIESR. Also follow iSportsRadio.com for all your latest show news and feeds as well. We got our Philadelphia-based show, our Kansas City-based show with Bishop. Those two teams in the Super Bowl. You do want to check out those two shows. So, do give a listen to those two shows. A lot of insight for those guys, especially on their Twitter accounts, leading up to that game come next week. Also, I do have a Twitter account as well, Spawn4288, Spawn4288 on Twitter. Also, I do another show aside called The Crooks Process. You can follow the show on Facebook and Instagram. You see the CP logo there. Do follow me on there as well. Like I said, do follow the show account because trade deadline is coming up. You know, Kyrie got traded. We'll see wherever the other chips when he fall, or nothing really else happens. And the Hachimura trade and Kyrie trade just happens, and that's it. So we'll see. A lot of things going to be happening about in basketball. You know, Nate Oates got an extension with Alabama. You know, that happened a few days ago. So, a lot of things, you know, going on in the world of basketball since football is winding down. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk to y'all, well, maybe next week. We'll see. Next week, so we'll see about that. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.